and now, I spoke, like, this is a massive use of city resources on policing. Like, we make a disproportionate number of
Yeah.
calls here, and also now we have to close the library,
Right.
and we are to provide city services, so, like, this is a problem that you as a district need to figure out. So, I mean, we're trying to collectively come to something.
Yeah, I mean, we've been meeting, how many meetings have we had in the last, library's been doing stuff,
Yeah.
trying to do something for
Forever.
part of it.
Yeah, well, she was, oh, well, she hates everyone. She was like, gave
She
me
the one
that
from
history. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was super defensive to Russia. I called her out. I said, I'm new to this conversation. Like, I've obviously been brought up to speed, and I'm here trying to represent the fiduciary arm of the city. And I said, the defensiveness from this side of the table is a bit problematic, specifically that the superintendent is the most defensive. And she was like, well, I'm defensive because the deputy police commissioner said he was going to go to the media. I was like, I'll go to the media too if y'all don't figure it out.
I wonder if anybody's talked to Judy.
Judy was there.
Was she?
I think Michael Howard has talked to her. I think a couple people have talked to her. They're like defending the superintendent to some degree, but she didn't really deserve to be defended, in my opinion.
See, they want to open up the schools of choice, and there's a problem.
Well, so here's the thing. Russian says they make more runs. They make more runs there than all 5 other school districts combined. And it's an internal school policy more than it is the kids. That they don't. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you see the email that Stephen about having these radios?
Oh, I believe it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I didn't even.
All right, stay in touch, and we'll talk soon. All right, thank you, Mary. Bye-bye.
He runs a business.
I'm too much of a shopper though.
Hello there.
How you doing today? Hello there, how are you?
Yuri, can I get some more? Sorry, I'm standing around. I'm loitering, looking for some vote sheets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was Lori there? Yeah. Barlow, yeah.
I like your best. Even though they lost.
I get a lot of compliments.
Mary. Oh, Christmas. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10, listening once again.
The mics are.
Now calling to order a regular meeting of City Council, Tuesday, December 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councilwoman Rogancy.
Here.
Councilman Dwyer.
Here.
Councilwoman McGee.
Here.
Councilman Boyke.
Present.
Councilman Lafferty.
Here.
Councilman Noonan, absent. Councilwoman Moore is present. Motion to excuse Councilman Noonan.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item.
Next item is 4, adoption of the consent agenda. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 5, adoption of the agenda. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, Ms. Moore?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to add as item 14D, consideration and adoption of a resolution to approve contract STAW 1350, purchase of Motorola radios utilizing the State of Michigan contract number 19000001544 in a total amount not to exceed $1,249,631.51. How'd I do, Mary? And also, item 13A, request to appoint council representative for Sozo Health, Inc. license appeal.
Is that under council business?
Yes. 13A.
Any other discussion? Makers of the motion comfortable with this?
Without
addition?
objection.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan is present.
Yes.
Mr. Noonan? Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 6A, calendar of pending matters. Motion to receive and file with discussion.
Support Dwyer.
Support Dwyer. Discussion, Secretary Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is an item on the calendar of pending matters where council requested all documentation regarding Habitat for Humanity, any documentation with the city and them, any special treatment they were given, or any sort of deals. The 10 days have passed. Maybe Mr. Schroeder can explain what happened in the last term and how documents are to be given to council. It's been weeks and weeks. Mr. Schroeder?
Under the city charter, the council being the legislative body of the city is entitled to any documents or records in possession of the administration. Of course, the city council is a co-equal branch of government with the executive branch of the city. And as a body, if the council votes to request a document, the administration has 10 days to produce those documents, unless it's a voluminous request or something that's going to take time and it's not meant to burden the administration. They have 10 days. If they want more than 10 days, all they have to do is pick up the phone or send an email saying we need an extension of time and give the reason, and we're supposed to work together on a reasonable time frame to produce those documents. So that's the rule. It's in a court order from the prior administration, and we can certainly provide a copy to anyone who needs that. I know that it's on file at City Hall.
Thank you. And we have received no such request through council office for additional time. So I would reiterate that request. We understand that there are certain accommodations that were made to Habitat for Humanity, and we'd like to know what the status of that is and all the documentation surrounding that. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item.
Next item is 7A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 10th, 2024. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8A, approval of the bills of the general revenue fund. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8B, approval of the bills of the water and sewer systems. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is general revenue fund report for November 2024. Motion to receive and file.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8D, general fund expenditure report for November 2024. Motion to receive and file.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is audience participation for agenda items only.
Members of the audience who would like to address City Council this evening may do so by filling out an audience form. This is for agenda items only. You have 3 minutes. First is Lori Harris. You don't want it, okay. Mr. Sutliff. Floor is yours, Mr. Sutliff.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I spoke earlier this year, I'm sorry, I'm speaking in support of agenda item 14C, to approve an RFP panel for climate action plan. Okay. I spoke earlier this year about the fact that insurance companies would soon be unable to or unwilling to insure the damages from climate change. And so it is urgent that we take action as quickly as possible to prevent that damage rather than waiting till after the disaster. Everyone is motivated to help people after a disaster strikes. And insurance companies can provide some help in those cases to get people's lives back together if they haven't actually perished. But when the risk is too great or the loss is too much, insurance companies will not insure or cannot restore completely what has been lost. Okay. And so waiting till after the disaster may not be very effective. So it is important to take action, preventive action instead. We've all heard the expression, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. But even with a pound of cure, sometimes the patient still dies. Now, one of the arguments for taking action on climate change is that, well, we're just a small, a small part of the planet, right? We can't do much that will have much impact. But everybody here remembers during the pandemic when there were fewer cars on the road, how clean the air was in Warren. It reminded me of going up to the UP. So we can make a difference by doing something. Okay, I think you guys started the clock a little early on me, did you?
Did not. Did not.
Okay. All right, so I just want to give a couple examples of insurance companies that have already stopped covering the damage of climate change. As of 2023, Farmers Insurance no longer writes policies in hurricane-vulnerable Florida. In California, at least 7 insurers, including Allstate, are limiting new homeowners' policies. And Church Mutual, the biggest insurance company for churches in the country, is no longer providing property coverage in Louisiana.
You're at time.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
That is the end of audience. Next item.
Next item, announcements.
Any announcements?
Madam President.
Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. A reminder, just as I had mentioned last week, Miracle on 34th Street, your family classic for the holidays, is being performed again this weekend by the Warren Civic Theater at Owen Jack's. The Friday and Saturday night performances start at 7 o'clock, and your Sunday matinee is at 3 o'clock. The sold out again, so one of the nights. So ticket availability, if you want to see this show, go to warrencivic.org for ticket availability. Get them quickly. I know last weekend's performance was sold out at least 2 nights. So your last chance for tickets is this weekend online. And Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays. Hope the season is merry and bright for everyone.
Thank you. Any additional announcements?
Oh, yes.
Ms. McGee?
There will be a second annual celebrity basketball game and toy drive on this coming Saturday, December the 21st, that will be hosted by State Representative Donovan McKinney, and it will be Saturday, December the 21st, from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And they're asking all, if you can, to bring a toy and to join us for fun, live entertainment, giveaways, and family fun at Lincoln High School, 22900 Federal Avenue in Warren, Michigan.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay, end of announcements. Next item.
Next item is 12A, proposed resolution authorizing quitclaim deed to City of Warren Tax Increment Finance Authority for real properties at 7600 and 7608 Continental, Warren, Michigan. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. Motion to approve with discussion.
Support with discussion.
Discussion, Secretary Moore.
Thank you. As I understand it, 4 of the lots are listed as owned by Tifa, and 2 of the lots are listed as city-owned, and the request is to add the 2 lots that are city-owned to the Tifa. As I understand, Tifa is funded by the DDA, so I would think that the DDA should be funding that purchase into the Tifa, and then the money purchased by Tifa, that should go into the general fund for those parcels. Is there anybody here from the city to talk about that?
Looks like
There's a value
Dave
to
won-
those 2 pieces of property that they're asking just to be absorbed by Tifa.
Mr. Mazzarelli wants to talk about it.
Madam President, through the President to Mindy, I read the letter from Tom Bomarito, and it seemed to be suggesting that Mary Michaels would be able to speak on it, but she's not here, so perhaps another lawyer from the city?
Yeah, because I'm not sure how that property transfer would work, because I understand those properties would have some value. And if they're just being given to the Tifa, I mean, are we just giving all the property away? I think we're selling it to someone, but the DDA funds Tifa. Usually the DDA gives money to Tifa, then what Tifa does, they pay for from there. So seems to me that the DDA should be paying, or Tifa, and then reimbursing the general fund for those parcels.
Madam Secretary, through the chair. The resolution, the way it's written, suggests conveyance,
Oh, I know.
which would indicate to me that this is a title transfer with quitclaim deed from one party to the next, no money,
Right.
no money involved.
Right.
So,
I'm not sure I think that's the right thing to do.
understood. I mean, not even $1.
Right.
No, we're not even transferring for $1. It's
Right.
one entity to the next.
Right.
I did speak to Ms. Michaels earlier. I had a couple of questions. She did indicate that she was not able to make it tonight. My questions were more so forward in the process to the purchase agreement and what that would look like, and asking that to come back to us just for FYI once that had finished up. But, as this reads, there is no, financial transaction between the 2 authorities.
I mean,
I don't disagree with you that there should be some monetary value assigned to it, and that there should be some reimbursement either. We don't have to act on this tonight. We can move this.
Table it.
Your concerns are valid. I have one other question for Mr. Bomarito, who is not here, relative to the lot combination. He emailed all of us this morning and indicated that there was going to be a lot combination. Now, I don't know if that means, and perhaps, Mr. Worth from the planning department could answer that, but it's not germane right now. Are these parcels going to be combined? If so, that has to come back to us. At what point does that come back to us, I would imagine prior to site plan approval? but lot combinations have to be recognized by council. Unless it's just we're going to build on all of these parcels combined as part of the project in, substantive terms.
It seems to me we need to have a procedure of how properties are conveyed.
I would agree.
Madam
Maybe we
President?
should table it at this point?
Mr. Noonan?
I'd like to make this suggestion, since it's come to us as it did, that the Downtown Development Authority, or the TIFA, pays full market price for it, and then I would have no objection.
What, you have questions too, so maybe we should just table it?
I
How about
suggest we
that?
table it
Before
with
we-
the
Before we
consideration
make
that they
a
deviate.
motion, can anyone from the administration speak on this, particularly because it's going to be 4 weeks before we have another meeting? And
No,
If-
he doesn't speak for it.
Good evening, council. My suggestion would be to table it. I heard about this briefly in passing. I don't know the exact particulars, but it was my understanding this was just an administrative cleanup, that they were TIFA properties already that had city names on them, and this was just, that was what my understanding was. I could be totally wrong on that. So I would suggest tabling it until we can get the answers from Mary.
thank you.
Support to table.
Let's see. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes to table.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes to table.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes to table.
Mr. Noonan?
Sure.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 12B, request from Superior Ambulance to renew annual license for operation of ambulance services within the city of Warren. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
14A, request of the, 13A, which is a request to appoint council representative for Sozo Health, Inc. license appeal. Motion to approve. Maybe Mr. Schroeder can explain what's going on with this.
Motion, is there support?
Support Lafferty.
Thank you. Discussion, Mr. Schroeder?
Yeah, Sozo Health, Inc., which is a marijuana facility located at 32755 Hoover Road, had its license denied for renewal under the city ordinance. They can appeal the license denial to the city council. This is an issue of which I did speak to Mr. Mazzarelli about this at length, and the city has some very valid concerns here, serious issues, and Sozo really has 30 days to have their appeal heard. We're not having a meeting until the 14th of January. They filed this on, it would have been 32 days when they filed it. So we got the petitioner, Sozo Health, to agree to waive the 30 days. So it's going to be scheduled for January 14th. It's a public hearing where their appeal is heard. The problem I had in looking at this is that the issues are quite complicated, related to the building codes and the use of pumping in carbon dioxide, and it's a complicated issue. And the petitioner's attorney told me that it may be a 90-minute hearing in front of the city council. And I said, well, that's a long hearing, and there's some issues there. So the suggestion is to appoint a council representative to meet with Mr. Mazzarelli and to meet with the petitioner so this council representative can understand this issue and come back and report to the full council these issues, so we can narrow this down and not have a 90-minute hearing. And also recommend some time limits for a reasonable amount of time for the whole council to understand this. And the council representative might also have some feelings about this one way or the other, and this person can relay back to the council. Instead of having a complicated 90-minute hearing right after the holiday, we can have someone from council drill down and help figure out what's going on here, report back to council. And hopefully maybe there's a way to resolve it. But the issue is that council has to find that the city's acting arbitrarily. So that's a high burden for a petitioner to meet in an appeal. But I think this is a ripe for a situation to have a council member get involved with the administration and the petitioner before we have a 90-minute hearing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that Mr. Lafferty undertake this. He's familiar with the situation, going back a long time, so I think he's probably the best position to handle that if you've got the time to
I do.
deal with it. And Mr. Schroeder and I talked earlier today that we're probably going to look next year at streamlining some of these appeal processes and hearings that change some things that, because this is kind of a,
Yeah. I told the council secretary, I don't like the council being in the position of having to decide a very complicated building code issue, that it's life or death for the business maybe, but it's also could be life or death for somebody if the building code's not being followed. So I think we need to maybe take a look at that. I'll talk to Ms. Michaels and see if we can find another way, instead of council having a long, elongated public hearing to decide a building code issue.
and
So
fire's involved too
Fire code,
sometimes,
yeah,
right? Fire
so-
codes.
we'll take a look at that and report back in the new year.
So Ms. Moore's nominated Mr. Lafferty, who's accepted the nomination. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of Mr. Lafferty?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Lafferty.
Thanks.
Next item.
14A, request of the Police Department for increase in budgeted appropriations in the amount of $660,885 to consolidate all current Axon Enterprise expiration dates and to add additional Axon Enterprise services, consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion. I see Deputy Commissioner Rushton. Sorry.
Yes, please?
Do you want to give us a very 30-second overview of what we're doing here?
Yes, so we have several contracts with Axon, both our body cams, storage, the drone program that we've set up, again, unlimited storage for all the evidence that we take in through videos and stuff like that. What we're requesting is we're going to take all of those products and do it under one contract. So the 660,885 number, what that is because of some of the contracts we have outstanding but would go into the next fiscal year for the city, all of that, what we're requesting is when we put them all together, we pay for that, which will eliminate a lot of our bills for next year until March 1st of next year.
Thank you. Mr. Noonan had discussion?
Yes, thank you. Assistant Commissioner Rushton, I'd like to know what FUSIS is, why do we need it, and how it could be used, or how it would be used.
FUSIS is a program, there's several different applications to it. One is the system allows you to have what is basically a panic alarm on your phone. One of the things we want to reach out to every school in Warren, one of the things is that any teacher would be able to push this panic button. It would immediately give us access to the 4 closest cameras to the person that has pushed the panic button. The main thing with this program is it would allow us obviously a faster response to critical incidents, whether it's a school or a business, any business that's in the program. It would allow us a faster response, and as you know, unfortunately as of yesterday with another school shooting in the country, seconds count for us. So even if we can knock out 15 or 20 seconds getting to the suspect, that may save several lives or some serious injuries to people.
Does FUSIS also allow the ability for police to access the information on private phones? Is there like a workaround in that?
No, it does not.
Okay, I was trying to read up on it, and it seemed interesting.
It is, again, it's a safety tool that we can use, again, with General Motors, the tech center, obviously, for General Motors, the amount of schools we have, other large corporations. We have been lucky as a city. We hope to continue to be lucky, but if we ever have a major event, again, the example, it was a false alarm, but the events we had at Mott High School, early in the year, it would have given us access when those 911 calls came in to immediately look and see what was going on at that school and let us prepare for what we may encounter in that school. One thing with the program is once we clear the school or the business, we now have lost our access to those cameras. So it's not something we monitor all the time. It would only be monitored while a panic button is pushed or a 911 call comes in from a school or a business.
Okay. And otherwise, it's good to consolidate all of the contracts. It's much easier to follow them and to keep them up to date, right, by consolidation?
Yes, and over the 5-year contract, which is going to be the next item on the agenda, item 14B, that's going to save the city in 5 years over $700,000.
I like that.
Oh, yeah, I like it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. I'm
Madam
done.
Chair,
Madam Secretary.
just a quick question. I see Mr. Roy there. Sorry, Roy.
He's
You're a
the
lieutenant
technical
now,
guy.
right? Are you Lieutenant? Sorry. This doesn't have anything to do with the drone storage, or does it?
No, it does. It is all
It does.
one. It is all one program, yes.
Okay, okay. This is what we talked about earlier this year, and this
That's
will
correct.
encompass that. Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Boyke?
first of all, I'd like to say it's a great program. This amount of money is for the rest of this fiscal year. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I didn't hear a drop-off date, the end date. So next budget, that we'll be sitting down with in June or whatever, we'll be getting a new amount. Is that correct?
Yeah, so every year, the cost of the entire service, I would have to look, is approximately $940,000.
Okay.
The problem with combining it is we have contracts that expire throughout the year. So the upfront cost is part of the cost we would have paid in the next several months, which would have went into the next fiscal year. Instead, with this, is we're just gonna pay the one-time fee. The program would start March 1st. And then, again, that's what we owe for the rest of this year contract. And then the 940 would be the following years.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Madam President.
Mr. Lafferty?
Thank you. I also, when I spoke to Ms. Michaels earlier today, we also reviewed this. It's very advantageous to us to combine these contracts. Typically, I would balk at a 5-year commitment, but given the scope of the program and the likelihood that we're not going to change providers in this space, I see no reason to object to it. The cost measures in place here, the advantage that we get from locking in those rates from the previous contracts and carrying those forward are probably by far the most advantageous for us. So, well done. Thank you.
I have a quick question. When you all talked to us about this individually, there was a thought about adding this, or folks could add it to their personal phones. Is it just going to be for school, like initially for school systems and other folks, or will it be open to?
It's going to be open. Again, part of the cost too is going to cover all of the buildings. It'll also be used by the city, so it'll cover panic alarms through City Hall, Parks and Recs here at this building, all of our library systems. So again, we're saving cost also on not having to equip those buildings with a security system that this will cover. And again, yes, private citizens can opt into this program. And then obviously we'll have more information to pass out to the citizens once we get this approved, or if we get this approved.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
14B, request of the Police Department to award Axon in-car and body-worn cameras and associated equipment to Axon Enterprise for a 5-year period with options to extend up to 5 additional years in an annual amount not to exceed $940,884.17. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Support Boyke. Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 13C, request to approve an RFP panel for climate action plan and request to appoint one member of council to serve on the RFP panel.
Support with
Discussion?
discussion, yeah.
Did you make a motion, Ms.
No,
Moore?
I did not.
So, Mr. Noonan, you are the motion.
Oh, okay.
Someone,
I will support Mr. Noonan's motion.
thank you. Mr. Lafferty, discussion, Mr. Noonan.
Yes, I'd like to propose or nominate myself for the RFP panel.
Any additional discussion? Support?
Let me think about that.
Hey, if you really want it, John.
So there is a nomination for Mr. Noonan. All in favor of nominating Mr. Noonan for the Climate Action Plan?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, congratulations, Mr. Noonan.
Excuse me, do we have to request to approve the RFP panel first?
It's both.
So we have
And-
to have a roll
Right.
call.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
I make my,
No, you don't have to do anything.
You're, we just have
good.
to vote different.
Yep, we just have to vote different.
Okay.
Mr. Noonan,
yes,
Mr. Lafferty,
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer,
Yes.
Mr. Boyke,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Now, congratulations,
Oh.
Mr. Noonan. Next item.
thank you all,
Four-
and
four-
Merry Christmas.
14D, consideration and adoption of a resolution to approve contract STAW 1350, purchase of Motorola radios utilizing the State of Michigan contract 1900000001544 in the total amount not to exceed $1,249,631.51. So moved with discussion.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. I don't have any problem with this purchase. I see that the bids came in and the request came in on the 13th, and it wasn't sent over to council office until the 16th. I really don't like this big of a purchase coming in at the last minute when the information was available last week, especially when we're meeting on a week that not many people are watching. And I don't want people to think we're trying to pull a fast one by not having it on the agenda. I don't know why it took so long to get to us, but I don't think it was certainly wasn't a delay on Commissioner McAdams' part, because I see things are dated earlier in December, where it should have come over. I don't know what the holdup is. I don't have a problem with it, but it really, these kind of things shouldn't come last minute if it can be helped, especially when we're having a meeting that's not irregularly scheduled. So, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Perhaps,
Mr. Noonan?
yeah, Madam President, perhaps Commissioner Skip McAdams could come up and give a brief explanation as to what the item is about.
Sure.
I'm sorry,
What the item is about.
buying the radios?
Banner radios, Motorola radios.
I read the
Yeah.
I just wanted for the public record, really.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening, council. Yes, what's before you tonight is a request to purchase 132 APX 870 radios, and then 10 dual band APX radios, and then 5 base station radios. They are the Phase 2 compliant radios. What's happening is that, like police, our radios are no longer supported by Motorola. And then additionally, and most importantly, the county is running out of bandwidth. And in order to allow more users to get on the bandwidth, all of the departments had to upgrade to the Phase 2 compliant, which doubles the bandwidth available to the county to distribute to local entities within the county. So it's twofold. One was to replace radios that are functionally obsolete and will not work on the upgraded network, and two, in order to, to work on the new network and radios that are no longer supported by Motorola. So it's twofold. And then these radios are also, we have purchased some radios in the last few years that are Phase 2 compliant that we do not have to replace. They just have to be upgraded and retemplated to the new network. So the purpose of this plan is to replace functionally obsolete radios that will no longer be supported, and to move to a radio that allows the county to move to a network that doubles its capacity.
And Commissioner McAdams, these are also forward compatible, as I remember reading.
Yes.
So that we should expect to not have to do this again for a long time to come. And they were thoroughly obsolete because they'd really become obsolete in 2023.
Yes.
If I understood that.
Well, actually, on our side, on the fire side, we found out about a year after we purchased our radios that the radios we bought or had to buy, the radio that we had to buy was going to be discontinued almost immediately. And Motorola never informed us of that eventuality. But then again, it also took them almost 10 years to create a new radio. So I don't understand the workings of Motorola. Unfortunately, as the largest provider of radios, the most durable and the most state-of-the-art, and what the county has adopted, we don't have a choice.
Commissioner, is the county waiting for Warren to get these in order to be able to move the whole county forward?
Yeah, Warren is the largest agency between police and fire using these radios. So yes, they did request that we move forward first in order to push all the other entities in the county to move over, to be ready to move over to this new network. Also, there are municipalities who can't add additional radios, as I understand it. So there's a big push countywide to get this moving. I don't know what the county's timetable is. Much like us, the radio division reports to I think they're a board or county commissioners, and they approve funding, and this is a major countywide project that they have to fund. So I don't have a timetable from Macomb County Radio as to the timeline. I just know that we, as the largest, were encouraged to move forward now, or yesterday, actually.
I think this will be my final question, and that is, this is just for the fire department and EMS, correct?
Yes.
Is there going to be, is the police department going to?
Police already did theirs.
Oh, they already did theirs.
They were
Okay.
about 2.5 million earlier. I don't know exactly when, but I think it was right around the end of the fiscal year, beginning of the fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
If memory
I
serves me
lost
correct.
track of that then. Thank you so much for filling me in on all that. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional discussion?
Madam President?
Mr. Lafferty?
Yeah, through the chair to Mr. Noonan, the one thing you'll find being on council, you're always going to be purchasing radios. It is a perpetual purchase. And listening to Mr. McAdams speak about the how Motorola changed, I mean, it's very similar to, you have to buy a new cell phone, right? Every 3 or 4 years. If you're extremely frugal, maybe it lasts 4 years if you don't drop it a half a dozen times. But it seems like only a short 25 years ago, when I was on the Board of Commissioners, that we approved the issuance of the 800 megahertz radios.
Yes.
And that was going to be the most technologically advanced network. Oh my goodness,
Yes.
And now you look at, what we can do today, and it's really.
I remember when we got those, they were supposed to be the radio to beat all radios, and it wasn't 5 years into that program when we started hearing about what was coming, and you're correct. Supposedly with these radios, they will support over-the-air upgrades from Motorola. I'll believe that when I see it. I don't know that I want to be around long enough to see the next upgrade, but maybe I will be, who knows?
And to the final point, the backwards compatibility is what you're referring to.
Yes.
And that's really important. That's a money saver or a time saver. We should never really rely on that, because by the time, the way these radios are used, they're end of life before even Motorola is saying that they're end of life. So given their field.
We replace radios every fiscal year that are damaged from dropping, from, even though they're water resistant, they can't swim, and they are anchors when they fall into deep water. So there are issues with them.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Nothing is waterproof.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes?
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Thank you, Council.
You're welcome. 15, audience participation on general topics.
Members of the audience who'd like to address City Council this evening may do so using a form on the right side of the stage. You have 3 minutes. This is for general topics. First up is Lori Harris.
Merry Christmas. I wanted to talk about several things. I went to the planning meeting last night. I was unable to stay. I want to publicly say I'm very disappointed in the Planning Commission and the fact that they have sat and listened to residents who have come to meetings saying, in terms of trucking companies backing up to their properties, and that commission should have known the questions to ask, and instead they just approved another place where semi-trucks will now be stored right at the back of their backyards. I find that really awful. And I think the climate action plan, I think if we can stop cementing every place in our city and allowing people to do whatever they want just because they come to planning, instead of looking at the master plan and making those decisions, I think that would also help. I don't think we have to have a committee to do that. I think we need to have an effective planning commission to do that. I also want to talk about the meetings tomorrow for the town center. I find the timing incredibly inappropriate and unacceptable. The week before Christmas, to have meetings that you want lots of input for something important like the town center. But I want to tell you that today I drove between 14 Mile and 11 Mile on Van Dyke, and I counted 32 empty storefronts. 32 empty buildings. Now, that doesn't count all the offices that could be empty in some of the taller, bigger buildings. Some of the buildings, I don't know how many actual offices are inside of them, but 32 buildings. That's a lot. And we think that we're going to build a downtown that would draw people to walk when we have 32 empty buildings in that area. I think it's ridiculous to have this meeting tomorrow. I also find it unacceptable that the mayor or whoever on her behalf private messaged 89 people with an update with the actual graphic from communications. I find that unacceptable. I find that as unacceptable as Olu Jabari sending emails to 200 and some people about the commissioner meetings and didn't blind copy. This is not how we run a $350 million business. And as a reminder, again, ADA is a civil rights law, and every meeting should have an opportunity for people to participate, and that's not happening. Thank you.
Next is Joel Vanderlinden.
Happy holidays. Joel Valen, longtime Warren resident. I'd first like to start off on the back of Ms. Harris about ADA laws not being followed by the city, by different departments. Today I went to file a FOIA, called the mayor's office. When I told them I wanted to do it verbally, they demanded I do it by computer. So some of us, being visually impaired, have a problem with that. So they sent me to the legal department, and they had a problem with it. Well, by the ADA law, anyone that is visually impaired can do it verbally and should be written down, taken down, and applied. Now, we don't always have someone there to file our complaints for us. So, what was the answer of the legal department? They put me on hold for a half hour and said they'll call me tomorrow. I think that's poor service. Now, what I filed my complaint on is I want the job description of the community director, the assistant community director, and the chief of staff. I want to know the job descriptions. I want to know who holds those offices. And then it brings up the question, how were they paid last year? It was not in the budget. Those positions were not there. You can't transfer or change those positions unless they come to council. And council didn't approve these change of titles or anything else, or any explanation was given for how they were paid. Were they paid out of the police officers fund? I know we're short 30 police officers. Is that how the mayor's staff is being paid? I want to understand why all these meetings are not being videotaped and put on the Warren City channel for all of us to watch. Is tomorrow's meeting going to be on there? Are we going to be able to watch it live, or is it going to be taped and tattered and put the way the mayor wants it without the public input? I think as a Warren resident, we deserve better. We deserve to be treated better. We still haven't answered the call about the 30 police officers. We still don't know all the minor details with...
You're at time, Mr. Vanderlinden.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day and recall Mayor Stone.
Next is Wesley Arnold.
I'm running as fast as I can. Sorry, I have to read this, but I'm old and I stutter a lot. I am Professor Wesley Arnold, longtime Warren resident, 82 years, lots of experience, veteran. I'm no hero, but I serve with some. I speak for many citizens. We have been watching you. We have noticed that many of you have put in a lot of extra time and extra work trying to do a good job. We want to thank you on behalf of our Warren citizens and our veterans. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your extra work. Thank you for caring. As an old-time historian, I've followed a lot of councils, and I think you're the best one ever. Thank you on behalf of all of our Warren residents, and also a thanks to our wonderful city workers. We are proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Gloria Sanker.
The season of wonder is here. It's like no other. In war, soldiers who kill each other stop for a brief moment to shake hands and to give a greeting of Christmas. The impossible becomes a reality because of the specialness of this season. What is this mysterious phenomenon? It's called Christmas, the most celebrated day in the whole year. People gather, sing, eat, and forgive one another's faults and say Merry Christmas with a handshake or a hug. Bad feelings are forgotten and new friendships are forged. Christmas seems to be in the hearts of all people and is shown through extreme acts of kindness and love. There is a special spirit that is felt. It's one that brings out the best in us so that we want to help the less fortunate. We want to contribute to the homeless so that all can experience the blessings of this special season. Christmas is not just a holiday, it's a holy day. It's a night divine. Let's not make Christmas a special or a secular holy day to just enjoy all the special treats. It's much more than that. We are a country founded on Christmas beliefs. That is, a spirit that promotes belief and hope because Christ the Savior is born. Christmas is celebrated to commemorate the birth of Christ, and the manger is a symbol of our belief. America has a religious history, which gives the government leeway to sponsor religious displays as many other cities do. Obviously, our administration doesn't share the belief of the Christian population in our city, which is 80% and more. Sadly, the mayor chose not to display any religious objects, not even a star on top of the Christmas trees. Oh, humbug. Rather, Merry Christmas to all, and with our Christian population, happy birthday, Lord Jesus, and Merry Christmas all to you.
Thank you. That is the end of audience. Next item.
Next item, council response to audience.
Madam President, through the chair.
Mr. Dwyer.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a special thanks to our beautification committee. They hosted an event last Friday for the Southeast Michigan, or Beautification Council of Southeast Michigan. It was held at St. Josephat, and we had a really good turnout, really good food. We had a special guest singer. We were graced by our very own Jonathan Lafferty, and the sensational singing. He took us through many Christmas carols. Everybody had a great time with that. We had awesome participation. But and we also had a couple of really good presentations. Mr. Sutcliffe did a presentation about native plants in our park over on Beebe, as well as a presentation by an individual from the DNR who gave us an update on all the projects that are going on at Belle Isle. So it's really something special going on over there. The other thing about our beautification committee is they just do a great job. They handle the placement and maintenance of our welcome signs. They put on a special awards ceremony for both our commercial and residential areas as far as who has the most impressive landscaping. They also assist with the Christmas decorations throughout the city that you see. So our beautification committee is really something special, and they really do keep our city looking good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other response? Okay, next item.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Support McGee. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Merry Christmas,
you.
everyone.
Merry Christmas.